as the Badger is coming home. Tyrann Mathieu has agreed to terms with the New Orleans Saints, 3 years, $33 million, 18 of that guaranteed. This is a nice contract for both New Orleans and Tyrann. If I read anything between the lines here, it looks like Tyrann's going to be here for a minute and may have a chance to sign another contract if he's still balling at 33 years old. We're going to talk about all of the implications of Tyrann Mathieu coming to New Orleans, all of it, on the field, off the field, everything that means good news for the Saints and the Badger as Mathieu comes back home to South Louisiana. We'll talk about that. Ross Dellinger has an incredible piece over at SI.com detailing NIL in college football and how it is taking over both recruiting and recruiting current rosters. The roster right now and the example that is given within the SI article is Kayshon Boutte, star wide receiver from LSU. We'll talk about that. We also have a text in to Dellinger that we put in early this morning. When he gets up and get moving, we'll see if we can't get him in here at around 8 o'clock this morning to talk about that piece. But it is a deep dive into what is happening around college football campuses, on college campuses, around college football, and how the football program is now being funded, recruited, and paid from an NIL standpoint. It's a great read. If you have not done it, we'll link it and put it inside of the chat. But we will talk about it here coming up inside of hour number one. As we say every single day, we appreciate if you can hit that like button, share button, comment button. We're driven by Go Chevrolet, our friends over at Go, GEAUX, Chevrolet.com. Nick Richard, Lee Carney, and the entire crew over there. If you're looking for new cars, stop in and see them in Laplace. Used car lot right here in Baton Rouge. Go Express Auto Sales on Florida Boulevard in Sherwood Forest. You can find all the inventory online, as always, at GEAUX, Chevrolet.com. Metropolitan Health Group brings you our phone lines. Real doctors, real solutions. Jason Ramazan, Charlie Harvey, our good friends over at Metropolitan Health Group. Find them online. Real doctors, real solutions. True Blue Water, TRU, bluewater.com, as that is our water each and every day here on the Jordy Culotta Show. And you can jump on the delivery route at TRU, bluewater.com. The Carpool Queen is here. Lloyd is here. And Stewie is here to start off with this Tuesday. We fell into a hole of the Met Gala.
We really did.
Pictures before we got going this morning, as it is, I guess it was last night. It was a Monday night up in New York City, and we fell into a hole at some of the celebrity pictures that were being posted.
It wasn't a school night for them, apparently.
It was not
Just
a
go
school
out on a
night for
Monday,
them.
enjoy your, get to go hang out with all your celebrity friends,
Can
wear
you
weird
even
clothes.
imagine?
I mean, invites in the mail. Must have gotten lost.
Right.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that, man.
You couldn't?
I couldn't make it.
could.
I couldn't make it through a night weirdly dressed. I'm uncomfortable in a suit, much less a tux.
But it's more like a costume type situation. You know, that kind of makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
it's not serious.
I think the bigger
Well, it is,
question,
but it isn't.
yeah, it seems to be
It
invite
is,
only.
but it isn't.
But I think the better question is, what are they doing inside?
Right.
Because that's the
They're
one
not sitting
time.
down.
Yeah, they're celebrity things. Is what it
right.
feels like.
But, I mean,
feels
you can't,
very illegal.
You can't seat yourself and be comfortable. In
Baby
most
blood.
Of these.
Baby's blood. I think it's all of the
That's what
bags
they're all
of baby's
drinking.
blood. Yeah.
It's weird for sure. I mean, a
It
lot
is
of the
weird.
entire. How do you sit down?
You don't.
It's wild. We're going to talk to Mike Triplett
wild.
coming up here at 8:30 this
It's wild.
morning, and we'll talk to him about the New Orleans Saints as they were in the headlines of the NFL news, and we'll start there here this morning. It's incredible, right? I mean, I think Lloyd said it a couple of times. Katie said it right before we came on. It's still kind of hard to believe that Tyrann Mathieu is going to be playing for the New Orleans Saints. Lloyd said he got a couple of calls yesterday, a lot of calls yesterday, people asking, just if it's true, if what it means. And I talked to a lot of people around the situation yesterday, just crazy excited about what this is going to mean for the franchise. As we said, I mean, just kind of really the financial part of it, when you look at it, I mean, this is a 3-year deal worth $33 million, 18 of it guaranteed. So really kind of 2 years of the deal guaranteed, which tells you that, I mean, this is a deal that is cut from the Saints side and from Matthew's side with the intent to stay for more than one season, right? I mean, Tyrann turns 30 here in a couple of months. He'll be 30 by the time the season starts. So if he finishes this contract out, He'll be right around 33 years old. And, who's to say he's still not playing at a high level at that point, and maybe you ink him to a 1-year deal or a some type of a franchise tag after that. Point being is that Mathieu's going to be here for a minute. And what you get in Tyrann, I don't think I have to tell anybody in this listening audience, because we know and have watched his game, so pointed for so long now. I mean, think about it. I mean, it's been over a decade now that you've been watching Tyrann Mathieu, if you can date back and are a fan that watched him at LSU. Some of you in the listening audience may have watched him play at St. Aug. Some of you may have watched him play park ball growing up when he was a kid in New Orleans. But now the fact that he's coming home and what the Saints get, I think it's obvious from the momentum standpoint, the fan feel standpoint. I think that you'll see Mathieu jerseys everywhere.
Yeah,
both LSU, Saints. You may even see some of his retro Cardinals, Texans, Chiefs jerseys everywhere, just because of the love that the city has for him, just around the city, around campus. I mean, I think that there has always been a Mathieu support for him in South Louisiana, so there's probably a lot of people with this type of merchandise. Now, as soon as the black and gold jersey hits the shelves, I think it's going to be like it'll overnight become the fastest selling jersey in the NFL. I think that the entire Saints fan base, and even people that are fringe Saints fans or maybe even fringe NFL fans and just love Tyrann, are going to scoop that jersey up.
Yes.
Still no announcement on what number he'll wear.
See, that's what I was thinking. I don't think it matters if he's number 7 or not. I
don't even think it. I
think that jersey will sell regardless.
Yeah.
But everybody's going to go to NFL.com, whatever, and just make the Mathieu 7 jersey. Like, you'll see them regardless, because I think that's what people want.
Well, you can personalize it.
Exactly.
You can personalize it, but I think that, once Mathieu's legitimate jersey hits the shelves, whether he's 32, whether he's 13, going back to his St. Aug days, whether he's number 7.
14.
Or 14 like he was. His freshman season at LSU, I think whatever the number he wears, it's going to be hotcakes. I mean, it's going to be flying off the shelf. Absolutely. Overnight.
Yeah.
I was saying they should just put him in the seats. First home game, just give everybody a jersey. Because why
that'd be incredible. I mean, or at least like a jersey or something, you know what I mean? Something that you can
let's go with a
get behind. But I mean,
something you can get behind, not a jersey.
But I'm talking about I mean, you can't throw it.
Oh yeah, the billions of dollars the NFL has, they can't hack it.
But I mean, I think that you'll see that the ticket sales, I mean, have never been a problem with the Saints, or at least have not been a problem in a long time. I'd imagine that this, has probably put a little boost behind, the Saints from that standpoint. Not that they needed any help there, but just the momentum of the offseason, the message of, the commitment. And from a Saints standpoint, like if you step back and look at this move, now we understand what it is from off the field stuff, right? Like jersey sales are going to be fantastic. Momentum from the fan base is going to be just ecstatic of, waiting to watch him play, what he looks like in black and gold. I mean, it's going to be incredible to realize the impact and just kind of go through this offseason, because look, the Saints aren't done with free agent moves, and I expect that Jarvis Landry is really going to be someone that they try and go after. And I mean, you put Jarvis on one side of the ball and Tyrann on the other side of the ball, you're looking at two of the most popular LSU football players and South Louisiana natives to come through the program in the last, I mean, I can't even think of someone or two players comparable in popularity and love for that this state has for those two guys. I mean, Jarvis Landry he was almost a myth in high school. He was a legend coming out of Lutcher. Comes to LSU, all SEC, all American season. His junior year has impacts. His freshman year, I mean, who can forget the kickoff against Auburn and the all whites? I mean, his sophomore season, he had big impact games, but I mean, his junior year with Odell and Jeremy Hill and Zach Mettenberger is one that'll go down, that'll live on forever. I mean, I was at that Georgia game in Athens that day when Mettenberger and Murray were going back and forth in what felt like an NFL game, and Jarvis was putting on a show. I still see him diving in between two Georgia defenders to make this impossible catch down near Georgia's goal line to set up LSU, and see him breaking away on some of the touchdown runs that day. I mean, he was and still is thought of as just this almost legendary type status, a lot like Mathieu. I don't think that he's in the Mathieu vein of LSU players and what you think of, but he has this type of reputation where he was almost a folklore coming out of high school, and when he got to LSU, he was as good as advertised, and you loved his mentality. If you put those two guys in the Saints locker room, I mean, it's already enough with Mathieu, but then you sprinkle juice on top with Jarvis Landry, and I mean, who's to say? I mean, the excitement of this offseason after Sean Payton retires, after losing Breeze for a year, all that stuff, and now you pick back up momentum and leave the Jarvis news on the sideline for a minute. It's fun to think about, but I do think that it's a real possibility. Right now you're dealing with signing Tyrann Mathieu. On the football field, think about the identity of what the New Orleans Saints are now, right? I mean, it's going to take some time to break Olave and Mike Thomas in with each other. I mean, it's going to be a learning curve for Jameis Winston to find out how these two guys work together and, kind of find their footing from an offensive standpoint. I mean, the identity of the New Orleans Saints going into the season is this defense, right? I mean, think about it. On all three levels, you got experience like Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, and now a guy like Tyrann Mathieu. I mean, you've got three legitimate Hall of Fame feeling type leaders. Like, those guys feel like legitimate cornerstone leaders of franchises, all three of them. And now they're in the same locker room. Same summer that you lose Malcolm Jenkins, you replace him with Tyrann Mathieu. I think you upgrade in that standpoint from just a leadership standpoint, an intangible standpoint of what Mathieu brings into the locker room. Now he's doing it for his city. What's that going to feel like? But on the field, now offseason moves Marcus Mays, right? Now he can play his natural position of which is kind of a center fielder. Mathieu and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson playing up near the line of scrimmage. The things that Dennis Allen, which Dennis Allen does great, is disguise coverage. Pre-snap, he is very confusing. Let's not forget, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the problem that the New Orleans Saints has presented to the Bucs. They've won the ones that mattered, but for the entire look and body at Bucs versus Saints since Brady has arrived in Tampa has been very confusing for the Hall of Famer. Saints have had him kind of handcuffed at times, which you rarely see ever happen to Brady. Who can forget C.D. Deuce running into his face and, kind of talking shit to Brady near the sideline, and kind of had Brady come out of his normal self-composed, within the lines discipline and kind of bark back at him.
That was awesome.
Tyrann got the same thing from him.
Tyrann got the same
that
reaction from
is
him.
All shit talk.
Oh man, and they are coming to.
Steal your soul.
Absolutely. You got Marcus Williams, you've got Marcus Mays, you got Tyrann, and you've got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
C.D. Deuce.
Think about
Marshawn
those
Lattimore,
four
Demario
guys.
Davis.
What you can do pre-snap from Dennis Allen's standpoint. I mean, at the end of the day, Dennis Allen's still calling defensive plays, and his resume reads that he's a defensive backs guy. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of who he is as a defensive-minded guy. So you give him these four guys, and his specialty is really kind of confusing the quarterback pre-snap. Show you something, then rotate the defense to show you something completely different. Now you can do it with these four cats? I mean, is there a safety better in the league of breaking up passes than Marcus Williams? Is there a guy that's more versatile in the league right now than Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? I mean, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson can guard your tight end over the middle, or he can blitz off the edge. Now you take a guy like Marcus Mays and put him in a natural position in which he has flourished. When you just put him back in center field and say, hey, man, go defend, you cover, because all of these guys, Williams he's an okay cover guy. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, okay cover. Tyrann can cover. They all kind of have a special skill set. but I think they all kind of play well with one another where they can all complement each other on the field. I just think it's kind of like giving Sean Payton, Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. I mean, all these weapons that they've had to play with on offense over the last, few years that, Peyton and Brees were together at the end. It now kind of feels like Dennis Allen has these toys to play with on the defensive side, and he's the head coach of the team. And in that, the style, the identity of the franchise and the team now becomes almost a defensive-minded franchise, an organization. I mean, it doesn't feel like the Saints are going to get blown out, right? Like, I mean, when you've got those type of defenders, you got to stay healthy. But, I mean, when you got a guy like Cam Jordan, you got a guy like DeMario Davis, and you got a leader like Mathieu and a guy who can play to his caliber, and the players they have on the back end. I mean, we haven't even talked about Lattimore in that defensive backfield. That's just from a safety standpoint from those four guys. I mean, they got
dudes,
players, man. I mean, they are. I saw where Orlovsky yesterday said that they are the third-ranked team in the NFC behind Tampa and L.A.
Okay, I could see that. I think what's more interesting is did Tyrann Mathieu played this so close to the vest? You saw them kind of. You mentioned C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They were all kind of flirting on Twitter. It felt like he was openly courting him. Tyrann Mathieu was very obviously liking all this stuff and going back and forth. We all thought it was banter, but how long do you think that they've been kind of maybe had this deal done for New Orleans?
I know. Did he know when he was here?
I don't think he knew when he was here, but I think that he knew when he went and visited the facility that day.
Really?
I think that he got an idea that this is real. I think that he's got was I saying Marcus Williams? I meant PJ Williams.
Yeah, Marcus Williams, they let walk.
Is in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I meant PJ Williams. I'm sorry.
PJ Williams is more of a nickel guy.
Yeah.
So,
versatile too, though.
Yeah, they'll have to find another actual safety because Tyrann and C.D. Deuce kind of do the same things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But C.D. Deuce I would say C.D. Deuce is a little better cover guy because he has a more cornerback centric background. Tyrann was really a nickel and an outside corner at LSU, but mainly the nickel. You know what I'm saying? C.D. Deuce played all three spots at Florida, so he has more of a cover background. But Tyrann probably will be that other safety with Marcus May.
Just let Tyrann do Tyrann
Yeah,
stuff.
they'll probably walk him up,
yeah,
walk him around, keep the offense guessing.
Well, versatility. All of them very versatile, and it gives you, from a defensive play caller standpoint, just gives you. It gives you a lot of options. It's a hell of a group, man. When you talk about those four safeties, and I apologize, I said Marcus Williams, but I meant P.J. Williams is the guy that they signed on another one-year deal. This is his second one-year deal, and another thing that Matthew's contract does is it shows Chauncey Gardner-Johnson contract year. P.J. Williams at some point is going to stop signing these one-year deals. He's going to start looking for some long-term security out of it. He obviously wants to stay in New Orleans. But from the business standpoint, he's not going to sign one-year deals anymore. I'd imagine. The Saints
franchise tagging himself without franchise tagging himself.
Right. It's a group that, I don't think that they let Chauncey Gardner-Johnson walk. And obviously the Mathieu deal shows that they are committed to him for at least 2 seasons. With $18 million committed on that contract, it tells me that the Saints expect him to be here more than 1 year. And from Matthew's standpoint, same.
I don't feel like this is just to make good or bring in Tyrann Mathieu because this will sell tickets. I feel like Tyrann still has good football left.
Well, yeah.
He's 29 years old, but it feels like he's been in the league forever.
Right.
But even when he came in here, he's like, I feel like I'm a young 29.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to wrap my head around the fact that I might only have 4 years left. But I think that
weird.
I feel like he still has good football left. And if he's able to come to New Orleans, which still blows my mind,
I know.
and he's gonna be a difference maker. They asked me in the chat if you think this moves the win total at all. I don't know if one player can really do that, but it shows that this is Dennis Allen's team. This is a lot of he wants to make it in his mold. Like you said, Sean Payton had, I think early 2006, 2007, when he would add all the weapons on offense, Marcus Colston, Jeremy Shockey, Lance Moore, like Darren Sproles. He did all the things on the offensive end. You never really saw him commit to defense. This is Dennis Allen, and it's like he's Sean Payton just on defense, like being very aggressive, getting who he thinks can make a difference on the defensive end, and he's making this team in the vein of Dennis Allen. Like, this is not a retread from Sean Payton. This is him putting his stamp on New Orleans Saints football, and I think it's his second go-around as a head coach, and he's not going to let it be anything other than Dennis Allen's way.
No, I don't think so either. I think it's shown early on here that they are committed to what the head coach wants. I can't imagine that Dennis Allen's not having a loud voice in there saying about how much they want Mathieu and how they need this guy. You could even read between the lines of Loomis's comments after the draft, being talking about some of the moves that they had left to make and that they weren't done. And I don't think that they're done yet.
If he brings in Jarvis, talk about a star turn for, like, everybody loves Sean Payton. He was getting a little slandered yesterday on Saints Twitter, which he shouldn't. Obviously he changed everything about Saints football, but Dennis Allen's getting his flowers if he brings in 2 LSU players when they never had any, and then you can re-sign Quan, make this thing just thumping because Baton Rouge has been dying for this to happen. LSU fans have been like, LSU's right down the road. You never sign any of the players, and it's not like they're not good. You just saw 10 get drafted, and the Saints don't want anything to do with them. And now you sign Tyrann Mathieu. This might open up the floodgates and have people extremely excited to go to Saints games.
Excited to welcome aboard a new sponsor here to the Jordy Culotta Show. Welcome aboard Fresh Chef Kitchen, which offers weekly pre-orders with pickup options for Monday through Wednesday. And look, I can tell you firsthand, man, we got our drop-off yesterday.
It's already gone.
Have done the starting to do the early morning workouts over here at the office and getting back in and having the Fresh Chef Kitchen eats available for us here to eat. Great breakfast options, great lunch options. They can set the dinner for you, no minimum to order. Walk-in retail is always stocked. You can look them up online at freshchefeats.com, freshchefeats.com. If you want to get the meal prep and you want to have your meals dropped off to you, check them out online. But welcome aboard. Really cool to welcome aboard Fresh Chef Kitchen, as Shane was over here yesterday telling us a lot about the cool stuff that they got going on. They're on Airline Highway. But the easiest way to find them is at freshchefeats.com, and really looking forward to our partnership.
Andre Anthony's meals for the past 6 months, got him in shape, and Damone Clark, our boy who was in here yesterday. Been feeding him as well.
Huge day for FM Digital Media.
Big day.
Yesterday, as we had Garrett Nussmeier run through here yesterday morning. Greg Brooks, defensive back transfer from Arkansas, was here during the 8 o'clock hour, starting off the 9 o'clock hour yesterday. We also had Kay Doty through here. Joe Bear was through here on Mic'd Up. And then Coach Jay Johnson had a video call with Mikey yesterday. And then Damone Clark made his way through FM Digital Media yesterday afternoon. So a very strong showing from LSU football yesterday over here. We appreciate those conversations. Also, your support of those conversations means a ton to us. So if you could, make sure that you are subscribed, liking, sharing all of the content that is coming out of FM Digital Media, whether it's from Mic'd Up, Monday, Wednesday, 11 and 1 o'clock, and, of course, on Fridays from Uncle Earl's from 4:30 to 6, or the Jordy Culotta Show, which originates 7 and 9 a.m. each Monday through Friday. And then this week, on Friday night, they got a cool event happening in Baton Rouge on Government Street, which is where we are located, where our studio is located. And that is Hot Art Cool Nights, which is kind of the springtime edition of White Linen Night.
No,
or
White Light Night.
White Light Night.
Which happens in the fall. And it opens up kind of all of the vendors and all of the mid-city merchants down here on Government Street. I think there's a big push to kind of move Government Street to like pedestrian and bike traffic, kind of similar to Magazine Street. Another poor decision from leadership in Baton Rouge that have not had, just thought it all out. The traffic around here in the afternoons is gridlock on one of, Baton Rouge's major thoroughfares. But on Friday night, we will open up the studio. We'll have some music playing. We'll have some good beverages and food Am I saying that
Maybe.
right?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
We'll be selling merch.
But we will have our merch on display, and we will open up the doors to the studio and let you see it. It's still a work in progress.
Come visit. Y'all always asking for a happy hour and stuff like that. Come see us.
If y'all need booze, just holler at Lily. She'll come here and make drinks.
Ooh.
If that's what you
A
want.
special Jordy Culotta show themed cocktail.
Cocktail?
What would that be?
Probably have THC in it.
For sure.
We can't give that to people.
Special type of tea.
Yeah,
That'd be like
special
that
tea.
wedding catering fiasco.
You know what, though? One thing that we didn't bring up on the Saints safeties, and they drafted 17. They had 17 undrafted free agents. And look, I'm not going to run down the entire list.
Now do all 17 for us.
Because I don't know any of them. But I mean,
Are you sure?
they got a lot. I mean, they got a punter from Ireland. I saw.
Really?
Yep. They got a kicker in there. They've got a return specialist from Baylor. They got a guy from Baylor who played both running back and linebacker, but had over. I mean, they've got some
Weird.
pretty interesting pickups there. But the most interesting, beyond
Tyrann?
anybody else, in the draft is Smoke Monday from Auburn, because
that name.
first off, all name team, and probably. I mean,
he's going to make the team.
He's definitely going to make the team. I mean, I hate to say definitely make the team, but I mean, from Smoke Monday's standpoint, he can do anything that you want. He's going to have to cover kicks. He's going to have to be a special teamer. And look, the Saints are going to need help in special teams. I believe they allowed the second most kickoff and punt yardage last year combined as a special teams unit. So you need guys to cover kicks. You need guys that are going to make the team specifically just from how they can contribute on special teams. And I think Smoke Monday is a prime candidate of a guy who can make the team. And he's also another safety that plays really good around the line of scrimmage. He kind of fits into the mold of Mathieu, Gardner Johnson, and that type of player. He does not play well in space. He's not a good cover guy, but he is very physical. I mean, he will knock your head off at the point of attack, which will make him a good special teams player and somebody that you can, when you got Mathieu and you got CD Deuce and you got that position kind of wrapped up, I mean, you can bring Smoke Monday in on some specialty assignments. I mean, he'll play well off the edge. He's going to tackle you and get you to the ground when he gets to the ball. So, I mean, I kind of love that pickup. I love the fact, I can't believe he wasn't drafted. I mean, really, I couldn't believe that he was there.
But it seems like the Saints are kind of building up their own style of defense with this, like a bunch of guys that just want to hunt. Like they talked about that. Damone Clark talked about that with Matt House and what LSU is trying to do on defense, and everything they said is pursuit, find the football. Seems like the Saints are kind of doing the same thing with all of these signings, where it's not position specific. It's more of just getting a bunch of playmakers, which I mean, you don't see people do that often, but there's a way it could absolutely work.
The guy they got from Tennessee is pretty good, though.
Yeah, in the second round.
Alontae Taylor.
Yeah.
He'll be probably the guy starting opposite of Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah, he's a
No,
he's a good
Adebo
player.
was good last year. The rookie that they got from Stanford that they drafted, he was a good corner. Like, he played well.
Well, they need depth.
Yeah,
at that
but I'm just
position.
saying, like, I don't think he's going to step in and start. I think Adebo kind of locked that thing up last year.
A lot of moves yesterday in the NFL, including a couple of guys from LSU. Trey Turner signed on with the Washington Commanders for a year contract. That reunites Turner with his former coach in Carolina, Ron Rivera, as Rivera is now there in Washington. Trey Turner signed a big deal in Carolina, then signed a free agent deal out in Los Angeles with the Chargers, and now inks a one-year deal with the Washington Commanders. So Mathieu not the only one making news yesterday from a free agency standpoint. Some other guys and former Tigers and former St. Aug players, like a guy like Trey Turner, on the move.
But we talked about, obviously, the Tyrann signing, but doesn't this set up perfectly for what he wants to do? He came in here and was very adamant about becoming a coach at LSU. This makes that move, it seem much more viable in my mind, right? Like, he moves into Louisiana, plays for the Saints, and now
Retires
3
from the
years
Saints,
later retires,
comes
and then he's just right down the road, right? I mean, it feels like he's kind of planned this out.
Had to.
Makes a lot of sense.
But it
I
was
mean,
1 month ago he said that the Saints had the top 5. They were top 5 in defense for the past 2 years, and they don't really need me, but it'd be fun to come home. That was
Yeah.
1 month ago that he said that.
Wow. I mean, we asked him directly because there was always kind of a storyline to Tyrann coming back to New Orleans on whether or not it would be safe. And we asked him that directly, that
Like
the
safe
day
for him?
the day that he came back here. And he did not buy into that. In fact, that day that he was here, he was staying and was doing a lot of things in Baton Rouge. He was doing a lot of things at LSU, in and around LSU, but he was actually staying in New Orleans during that entire week. And he said, and if you can actually search his social media, I mean, he was at Blue Oak Barbecue. He took his daughter and his family out for snowballs. And I mean, what my point being is that he wasn't hiding. You know what I mean? He wasn't going to New Orleans and not letting people know that he was home. Because I mean, look, I recall when Will Smith was gunned down in the streets of New Orleans. Stewie, check me on this. Was it 2014? Was it 2015?
I feel like it was past that, right?
Maybe 2015. I know it was during French Quarter Fest because I was there that night.
Always during French Quarter Fest.
And we went down for French Quarter Fest and was actually leaving dinner when, Twitter
It was
and
2016.
2016.
April 9th, 2016.
Wow. 2016 when, the social media stuff kind of started to move and was coming out about the tragedy that was happening, and it happened in the middle of the street. And, it was Will Smith, a former Saint, and the name of the shooter, it did not take long for it to come out because he stayed on the scene, like sat on the curb. And when his name came out, Tyrann was very vocal on social media about knowing him growing up, knowing that he was always
the shooter.
The shooter, mm-hmm. Knowing that he was always a bad seed, a bad guy, and that, kind of he'll get his type thing. And, I think it kind of showed just Tyrann is going to come into New Orleans, and he's not only going to know all of the business owners, the politicians, and the people who are moving and shaking down there. He's going to know the thugs and the gangsters too. Mm-hmm. Like, he's going to know the entire city. And that's where, people were always kind of like speculative on, can he play here? Is there a part of the population that doesn't want to see him succeed in New Orleans and will try to prevent that at all costs? Many people believe that his downfall in Baton Rouge was the fact that he was too close to home, and that people were seeing his success and trying to pull on that and hang on that.
Leech. And
trying to be a part of that. And look, I think that from the conversation that we had in this studio with Tyrann, I think that he kind of recognized that. But I also kind of found that he's at a point in his life where he's able to keep that stuff balanced. Not balanced, but just he's able to manage his life, and he's prioritized, and it seems like he's a family guy, and that he is going to be a part of the community and dive into the city and try to improve things. And I was thinking about it last night. Mathieu may be exactly what not only the Saints need, and maybe not only what LSU needs in the way that he helps out the football programs, but really he may be what the cities need right now, because he's a guy that can cross over and speak to every room. I mean, I saw him in the PMAC 3 weeks ago speaking to sorority and fraternity members and fitting in as if he was the president of the organization. Mm-hmm. I saw him sit in this room and control the environment and have everybody not even blinking, listening to every word that he was saying. I've seen him at lunches with business people, multi-million-dollar business men and women around a table where they are looking at him and hanging on every last word that he's saying. He's also gone deep into the community into some of the areas that people may not even go, maybe some places that the police don't even go, and walk down the streets openly, accessible, and giving out and handing out whatever it may be, Christmas gifts, turkeys on Thanksgiving, or just street advice. And as divided as we are, or it feels like our communities are, and the setbacks that we continue to read within the news wire every day of murders and people getting killed in open streets, whether it's New Orleans, Baton Rouge, South Louisiana. I mean, we were at Festival International over the weekend on Friday. On Saturday, they had 7 people that were gunned down there. You know, I mean, it's everywhere.
Is
And
he our
not to
Batman?
say, what's that?
Is he our Batman?
The Badger.
I don't, I mean, look, I'm not trying to be dramatic about it. I'm not saying that he's
I'm
going
serious.
to fly in here and he's going to stop crime. But I'm saying that he is a personality that you're going to find very little division around. Right? Like, we don't agree on Sharon Weston Broom. We don't agree on LaToya. We agree on Tyrann. You know, I mean, put 10 people in a room. 5's going to hate LaToya. 5's going to like Sharon Weston Broom. All 10 are going to love the Badger.
Yep.
And the thing that everybody has in common in that room is that they love Louisiana. So, look, again, I'm not saying that Matthew's going to fly down here on his cape and stop all of the bad that's happening within, below I-10. I'm just saying that he's a guy that you can hang your hat on as somebody that you can look at and say, man, that's a positive message, a positive light, and a positive guy that really is relatable, likable, and he's on my team. And he's back home. I just think that it's you can't really even measure how great of a story it is.
I know.
It's so good from a football standpoint.
Yeah.
It's so good from a PR standpoint. It could be so good from the community standpoint. It could be so good from the city standpoint.
could.
That's why it has to be 7. It just makes it so much better.
I
Everything
know.
makes so much sense. But you talked about people coming back home or having to kind of navigate their past life. Do you remember the 30 for 30 with Randy Moss in West Virginia and how they wouldn't really let him do any of that? The people that ran the streets or whatever, they're like, don't mess with Randy. Don't do any of that because they want you to get out. I feel like Tyrann can have kind of that same appeal to where it's like, don't fuck this up for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, this is a thing that's supposed to be the way that it's going right now. Like, I never thought in my life I would see Tyrann come back to New Orleans. I thought it was an unbelievable, story that he even got out. And now that he had to go to Arizona, Patrick Peterson was like, look, he's fine as long as you get him out of Louisiana. He vouched for him. He comes back to New Orleans, his first interception of his career is in the Superdome. He's had all of these seminal moments to where he's just tied to the city, but it never felt like he could ever come back. And now it seems like with him signing this, he's almost escaped it himself. He feels like he's bigger than what the problems were. Like, he's overcome it, and
Yeah.
this is the perfect way to put a bow on it,
Yeah.
which will be great.
I know.
Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Get in touch with our friends over at Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. They are number 1 and a number 2 business, specializing in all works of plumbing. That's industrial, commercial, and residential. They can help you out. They've got experienced carpenters and plumbers on staff for your industrial remodel of any kind. They cover greater Baton Rouge area to the Gulf Coast. Remember, they got 2 trucks working in East Baton Rouge Parish every single day, so find them online, or you cannot find them online. No website, no social media. You got to dial the number 225-776-2431. 225-776-2431. If you mention the Jordy Culotta Show, you'll save 15% off that bottom line over at Barker Brothers. Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Number 1 and the number 2 business. Give our friends a call today. 225-776-2431. Mention the Jordy Culotta Show and receive your 15% discount. We'll be back. Second hour coming at you. We'll talk more New Orleans Saints. Tyrann Mathieu with Mike Triplett coming up here at 8 a.m. We will move the conversation to the latest NIL article written by Ross Dellinger. And it's a lot of the stuff that we've talked about here, specifically down in South Louisiana around LSU football. But as Dellinger points out in his latest piece, it's happening all over the country. It's happening in Miami. It's happening in College Station. It's happening in Athens. It's happening in Tuscaloosa. It's happening in Austin. It's happening everywhere. In Norman, Oklahoma, Brett Venables believes that he'll be able to pay every player $50,000 within the next 2 years. That's where NIL is at this point. And it's talking about the collectives. You know who's overseeing the collective at SMU? Eric Dickerson.
Let's go. Yeah.
Is that unbelievable?
Death penalty be damned.
The guy that got the Trans Am back in the early 80s. The guy that is the poster child for cheating in college football.
Overseeing the
He's
NIL
overseeing
at SMU?
the collective at SMU. The money that is being collected by the businessmen and women around that football program is being distributed and
That's
overseen by Eric Dickerson.
Why? How?
Because he started it.
Because that's how crazy
He's the
the
OG.
world of NIL is. Ross Dellinger dove into it. We'll give you some of the examples. We'll tell you what some of this is going on. Gordon McKernan is quoted in the article. They are giving examples. Keishawn Butte is used as an example. We will give you the latest from Dellinger and SI. We do have a text into Ross, and we'll see if we can't get him on here before we get out of here at 9 a.m. this morning. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, and comment button every day. We are driven by Go
Chevrolet. Trans Am, all in SMU. They're coming back.
I remember going to the Tennessee camp.
Oh, this is a great story.
And I had locked everybody up.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I was licking my chops, and I'm like, yo.
Jarvis and
Anybody,
Ozell are there, right?
Everybody was there.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm like, all y'all get in line. Like, everybody, come on. I'm going to go
Get
rep.
back in line.
I'm going to go rep after rep. And then it really kind of turned into a show where none of the
Right.
DBs wanted to go.
Yeah.
None of the receivers wanted to go. It was literally, then it turned to me and Jarvis.
Right.
Just one-on-one. You know what I mean? So,
You know, whenever Tyrann Mathieu's ready for that challenge, this is something that he's talking about out loud. Now,
Yes, he's speaking into
we
existence.
we will talk to him about this afternoon. So I mean, we'll ask him how real this stuff is, but he's just in the way that I know him, and I, you know, like I said, we've got a relationship that's lasted about 10 years from covering, you know, media member to athlete, and you know, we're not good friends by any means, but I feel like I know him a little bit. He's not saying stuff like that without really being serious about it. You know what I mean? If he's thinking that right now, and with the affirmative tone that he is speaking that with, like, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
You
He's
know
not
what I mean?
bluffing.
Really, no. I mean, he's if this is something that he really wants, he'd be great at it. He would be a great coach. He would be a great motivator. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz. Shout out to Tom Granning from everybody over here at FM Digital Media, as he is our fuel sponsor. Whether it's fuel cards or snacks, he's keeping us going every day at FM Digital Media. If you're out on Highway 61, make sure and stop in and see him over at Go Mart. That is located in Natchez, Mississippi. It is our favorite convenience store, and it's for our guy Tom Granning, who supports us every day over here at FM Digital Media. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz. All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Make sure and give us a like and share, and make sure you check out yesterday's content, man. Good sit-downs with Greg Brooks, defensive back, transferred in from Arkansas. Really good insight on transfer portal, ending up at LSU, back home. He's a West Jeff native that is now playing and starring in the defensive backfield. I believe he had 8 interceptions over the 15 practices.
Not if you ask Garrett Nussmeier.
Didn't get any on Nuss?
Well, I don't believe him.
No.
First day of practice.
Oh, okay. All right. A little in-depth reporting there from Stewie.
He went to the practices.
That's right.
Yeah,
We were
he was
there.
Boots on the ground.
Our
own Scheffner.
But good stuff from Garrett Nussmeier yesterday, talking about that quarterback competition. About 25 minutes with Nuss on off-season. Has he ever thought about transferring? And the relationship, kind of the football relationship between his dad, Doug Nussmeier, who is the quarterback's coach for the Dallas Cowboys, and has got a very impressive football resume. In fact, Nussmeier, as I think we all learned in recruiting, calls Louisiana home for his time that his dad was a New Orleans Saint, and he was born in Lake Charles. His mom's parents, or his mom's family, is from that area, and really claims Louisiana as his home. Somebody that has moved all over the country, right? I mean, a coach's kid is going to, it's tough for that lifestyle and for that profession to settle in anywhere. It's very rare that a coach and their family spend one place at, spend their entire time at one place. For the Nussmeiers, it has been really an incredible travel of campuses: Michigan, Alabama, Washington. I mean, they've been to some really cool spots around the country to coach college football, and Garrett has kind of been there the entire way. He gives some insight on his relationship with Scott Woodward, who Woodward was the athletic director at Washington.
Did he call him the wrong last
called
name?
him
Cut him Woodworth.
I kind of
Yeah.
wondered about. I was like, wait
Yeah.
a minute.
Yeah,
Have I been
Yeah.
wrong this
Let
whole
him-
time,
no,
or is he wrong?
yeah,
I was
let him go. It was
confused.
all good.
Yeah.
Then there were some rumors if he was dipping or not. Turned out it was a mint. We were like, he's
Yeah.
very comfortable.
I didn't
But
think
no,
it
just
was
had
a
a little
dip at all.
lozenge in.
I
I
thought
don't
it
know.
was a lozenge.
No, he was very comfortable.
I love how you
was.
just
Carries
casually.
himself as a quarterback.
He does.
I don't
He
know.
feels
I don't.
like a
I don't
leader.
know what that means. You know what I mean? Like people. What do you mean? I mean, it's just when he walks into the room. I mean, even Lloyd said it right when he walked in. He was like, he looks like a quarterback.
He felt it,
He's
yeah.
He's built like a quarterback. He's very skinny.
He is
a
skinny.
little fella.
It's you think SEC football.
But I didn't feel that way whenever he
No,
played last
I don't
year. Like
either.
even what it
I
was
don't
against
either.
Arkansas, he got the de facto whatever that start was, like Max Johnson for 3 plays, and then here comes Nuss. But he didn't feel small on the field, but he was a little bit
I
slight of
agree.
frame.
And
Yeah.
when we asked him what his emphasis on the offseason was, is that he said, I'm
Bulk
looking to
up.
pack some weight on it. He's something that it's something that obviously he thinks about. But I mean, I would imagine to be a 15, 14 game starter in college football, I mean, you gotta be ready for the physical toll that is going to take on your body. And at 187, I believe you said he was,
I think, or that's what he wanted to get to.
or that's what he wanted to
How
get to.
tall is he?
I'd say 6'2",
Okay.
6'3".
It's crazy. He's got a cannon of an arm.
Cannon.
because
Yeah, I
he
kept
was
looking
just
at him
not
the whole
it-
time,
it-
like,
yeah,
how?
I know. If
I
he-
know it's there, but like, God, it didn't look like it.
No, he's
but
got a whip.
He does, and he has that little bit of like kind of fuck
Yeah.
you to him a
Yeah,
little
he
bit,
does.
where he's like, "Look, I
Doubt
know
me.
what. Yeah, please,
Please.
let me throw
Right.
60 over your head."
That's
Yeah.
why I kind of love him.
Me too.
You know what I mean? Like, that's why I am
He seemed very confident, even in midst of what seems to be a quarterback battle. It seems like he feels like he's carrying the ace card.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
What
In
you
a
want
ve-
your quarterback
in
to
a
do.
very fierce competition, he feels unfazed by it.
Leader in the clubhouse.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
and not even a leader in the clubhouse feel. Like, it doesn't matter when you're ready to name this. I'll be ready to hear your
42
answer.
long.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it doesn't matter whenever. I'll be ready. When you're ready, I'm ready. And I think he kind of carries himself as that he's always going to be prepared. And I think that's the advantage that he has in this competition of growing up in the household that he did and being held to the standard that he always has from a really a coach. And I mean, I thought that answer yesterday was very interesting. His conversations with his dad. He also wanted to make it very clear that his dad did not reach out to any coach, whether he was in Little
I
League or
love
whether
that.
he was in college.
And no doors were
Love
being kicked
that.
down.
Absolutely. I mean, he was throwing shade to let you know that didn't happen. So whatever you were hearing, I talked to his daddy. Like, no, you didn't, bro. Like,
Did he say that? Did O say that?
Oh, exactly like that.
Talk to
Well,
his
I'm sure
daddy.
he did,
Talk
but
to
I
his
didn't know
daddy.
that was like a thing.
Are
I
you
thought
going to
Daddy came
redshirt
see me.
Garrett Nussmeier? Well, we're going to talk to his daddy. Like, well, you're the head coach. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure his dad would like to know, what do you think? Right? And I mean, rather than even if he was talking to his daddy, why would you say?
it grosses me out thinking about him saying that.
Why would you
Talking to my
say?
daddy.
Why would you say that publicly? Like, how do you think that that's going to play well for
I feel
you?
weird.
You know what I mean? Like, where do you think Garrett's going to walk in and be like, appreciate you letting the public know that you talked to my dad? You know, like,
Doug has been calling me all day.
right? Like, I mean, why
daddy.
even go public with that? You know,
Call
I mean,
my daddy.
talk to his daddy.
Y'all are assholes.
Yeah, talk to him and Max's daddy.
Ugh.
Whatever his daddy wants to do. You know,
Daddy Doug.
sweet man. I mean, what is this? 12U football and I mean Breck.
You know, we
what
all
I
want to
mean?
play a
Like,
quarter. I get that.
But he definitely wanted you to know yesterday when talking about his relationship with his dad, the coach, that his dad, the
His
coach,
daddy.
never called, any of his coaches.
Definitely.
Doug
wanted
has
you
his
to know
own
that.
job to do. Like,
I know, right?
I feel like my son's gonna redshirt. I feel like we had that plan in place a long
Exactly,
time ago. But here's
exactly,
Coach O.
exactly.
Talk to his daddy. What a shit show that was.
He's
We're like,
worried
what is
about the Eagles, bro. He's worried about the Giants. You know what I mean? Like, he's
Dak
not
Prescott just
calling
broke
you,
his
doing
leg in
your
4
job for
places.
you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's got his own gig.
I love how he just casually was like, "Yeah, I hang out with Dak and Zeke, Coop on the sidelines."
Talk to his daddy.
I mean,
That was
and you know
amazing.
what? His life's probably a lot cooler than that.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like,
I
even
can
like, because
imagine.
he was. I mean, I imagine if you just heard that, you'd be like, "Who is this guy?" Like bragging his way through this interview, and you're like, "Man, he could flex on all of us
Yes.
more than we even know."
That
You know
wasn't
what I
even
mean?
name
Like,
dropping.
That wasn't
Right?
even. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Like that wasn't even a big deal. I mean, I imagine that the access he has to just. I mean, think if you were a high school quarterback in the state of Texas, and your dad was the coach
Daddy.
for the Dallas Cowboys.
That'd be crazy.
And you had access to just the facility. Forget the players. You know what I mean? Like, forget sharing like a quarterback room and watching film with Dak. You know, like, forget that part. Just like going in there and being like asking the medical staff, like, I think my thumb's hurting. You know, like, let me see that thing. You know, like roll it out in like a state of the art machine in the Cowboys facility. But I mean, just that to me is his advantage in all of this. He's a football guy. He is prepared. He knows how to watch film. He knows how to game plan. He knows how to be a part of those conversations early on. I think there's a learning, even for a guy like Walker Howard. Like, think about Walker Howard, man. Everything in football has come very easy to Walker Howard. Just his skill. I know that he had to earn his time at St. Thomas More. He had to wait and play behind Eli Holstein and all of that stuff. But from a physical standpoint, that guy picks up the football and, can throw it through the fence. Just naturally, rolling out of bed. I still think getting to the SEC and getting down, he's still got to learn how to watch film. He's still got to learn how to prepare. He's still got to learn how to have a conversation with a quarterback, offensive coordinator, head coach in the week of game planning as the starting quarterback. Not to discount anything that they were doing at St. Thomas More. That is a very elite, high-end football program within our state. But I got to imagine a lot of Fridays, Coach Hightower looked at Walker and said, just throw it to Besh. You know what I mean? Like, they can't stop you and they can't guard him. You know what I mean? At this
I'll see y'all
level,
on Monday.
at this level, it's got to be a little bit more granular. It's got to be a bit more dissected. It's got to be more prepared for. And I think that, not that Miles Brennan and Jaden Daniels and Walker Howard don't know how to do that. I just think they know how to do it as good as Nuss.
But
And
I'd push back a little bit because I feel like Walker Howard has the same
with Jamie?
advantages that Nussmeier has and that Joe Burrow had. Whenever LSU was obviously found some sort of recipe that they think is successful
They did.
by getting coaches' kids, and I feel like Joe Burrow if that's the mold, I feel like that's the right way to do it because
Why not?
we talk to his dad all the time, and you can tell that he is a coach's son. And then when you have Nussmeier doing the same thing when you're around football like that. I mean, he was charting plays for the Cowboys not because he wanted to. His dad was like, here, take a clipboard. If
You're on the iPad today.
Yeah, if you're going to be around, here's a job to do.
Right.
And so being around football like that, and Nussmeier obviously has that advantage with his dad, but then you have Jamie Howard and Walker Howard where they're around football. They're football guys. Like, this is a massive advantage for both of them, I would imagine.
And our advantage of being in with these dad coaches is we got invited to come to Joe Burrow's house and look at his trophy case.
Oh, that's true.
No doubt. Burrows were in Tiger Stadium on Saturday night at Garth.
Oh, they
He
were?
was at the Met Gala.
Sans Joe.
I mean, of course.
Yeah.
He can't come back.
Why would he come back for Garth?
Danny, Jimmy, Jamie.
What a crew. Call him
Danny,
Baton
Jimmy,
Rouge.
Jamie.
Yeah. The crew, the Burrows from Mississippi.
What do you mean it closes at 2 a.m.? Go to New Orleans.
So it's from the quarterback race. I thought it was great insight and great conversation yesterday with Garrett Nussmeier. If you missed it, go check it out. As always, all of our stuff is brought back to you by RMB Builders. Rhett Bourgeois and his crew can custom design you a home. They can help you out with any type of refurbishment that you're doing around your office or your house. Get in touch with them today, rmb-builders.com. And as we said, all of our stuff is always brought back and podcasted. Compliments of our friends over at rmb-builders.com. I can't tell you how many people that I have ran into over the last couple of weeks who have said that they've either used Rhett and RMB or are in the process of working with Rhett and have taken kind of what they've heard here of the ease that it is to work with Rhett, whether it be the calendar and the sharing and the communication and all that goes into kind of working with your project at the home or at the office. To the satisfied people that are out there. There are a lot of people that have worked with Rhett and RMB that enjoy the experience just because it's very easy, right? I mean, like I think that you think construction, you think headaches. You know what I mean? Like, am I going to know what's going on? Am I going to be over budget? Are they going to tell me what's going on every day? And that part is really kind of cleared up with Rhett and RMB from the top of the project. So check it out for yourself, rmb-builders.com. Whether you're custom designing a home, you need a project done around the office, or if you just need a little help with the
Katie's
remodel.
bathroom and leave your jacket behind.
Why not?
Brett's coming to my house soon, starting a little renovation.
rmb-builders.com. rmb-builders.com.
You're adding that 5th floor, finally?
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured. It's about time.
My trophy room.
Yeah, it's getting stale.
Our guy, Hugh Hathcock.
What?
Not a real name.
Stop.
Hugh Hathcock.
Hathcock.
Is that
To
somebody
the
in
front
the
of the room,
chat?
please. Hugh Hathcock.
A billionaire auto dealer in the state of Florida.
That's not his name.
A graduate of the University
Of
of Florida in Gainesville, is heading up and is directing the collective for the University of Florida.
the
and is
collective
putting
makes it
up
seem like it's a cult.
$1
It
million
really does.
of his own cash, putting up $1 million of his own cash, and will see to it that every player on the University of Florida's team is paid within the next 2 seasons.
What?
At some point.
Are you for real?
At the University of Miami, there is a donor who is set to put up a over $5 million that is set to build a collective for every student athlete on the campus to receive a stipend and compensation. It will be slotted by play for the football program. Right now, there is a company that is existing in the college football world, let me get you the official name of it before.
Nevin Shapiro is back in business.
Nevin Shapiro
Hathcock.
is Hugh Hathcock. Is our,
Huge
I
Hathcock.
feel like that's not real. What was the name Jack told me the other day that I believed for a second?
Oh, that wasn't
Haywood.
Haywood
Shibboleth
Jabloni.
Hey,
I looked at it for a minute. I was like, okay, what is Haywood?
What's his
And I was
email?
like, damn it, Jack.
There is a company called
Jack me
Open Doors. Open Doors is the name of the company. Arguably the biggest sports tech platform in the NIL space.
How do you spell that? Open what?
Open Doors, D-O-R-S-E.
Okay.
They are managing 12 collectives right now from around the country. They have raised nearly $50 million combined. By year's end, Open Doors expects that number to be well over $100 million or roughly about $10 million per collective. A virtual salary pool of cash tagged as NIL. Open Doors CEO Blake Lawrence believes that more than $500 million could be raised in player NIL funds among the 65 Power 5 associated collectives, which is building on college campuses right now. This is something that we talked a ton about as soon as it dropped, right? I remember the conversation within the chats daily. Are we talking about NIL again? Are we talking about name, image, and likeness again? Are we talking about this dumbass topic again? Yes, we are, because this is now the new arms race in college football. This is what college sports is now butting into. The NCAA is toothless. Mark Emmert is on his way out. There is nobody who is governing this right now. So it is, by every sense and term of the definition, the wild, wild west. And right now, LSU, like described in this article by Dellinger over at SI.com, and let's make sure and put the link inside of the chat so people can access this. If you have not read it already, it's a great read, just to kind of give you an idea of where college sports and college football and where the recruiting angles are now lying within NIL. But this is the new arms race. These are the new facilities. These are the new standout shiny toys that college football programs were trying to recruit around for the last 10 to 15 years when the money really became super real in the sport. They were trying to show you slides and facilities and, physical rooms, rehab rooms that were state-of-the-art on people's campus. LSU had the state-of-the-art locker room where you could move the locker into a bed. There were all types of toys and shiny things that they were trying to show you because that's what they were spending the money on. There was so much money coming in to college athletics that they had to spend the money somewhere. Now this money is being this is being
allocated differently towards the players
and overseen differently. And how the relationship works between school, business, and athlete is really kind of the thing that's being shuffled and trying to be organized at this point. State laws are changing legislation. Alabama just went and repealed their law. When they saw that the NCAA had no backbone and that Emmert was pretty much powerless in this whole thing and had no idea what was going on, they said, rather than write a law, rather than put rules on what we're doing, let's just do the bare minimum and let's just kind of create and find out how we want to exist in this world, right? Because Alabama had it written in the law that, the school and the businesses couldn't have the relationship. Once Saban realized that Georgia, Florida, Texas were recruiting towards that, he said, blow that bill up. Get that out of here. And let's just come to an agreement, come to terms whenever it's time that we have to. Talking from the state of Alabama. From Louisiana standpoint, we had Representative Stefanski sit in the chair here a couple of weeks ago and talk about the language and how it's written, and it was still kind of forward thinking in Louisiana, where there was protection built in for the athletes. I think was kind of the protective measure, or at least the outlying measure that Louisiana legislators had taken kind of in contrast to their counterparts from other states. But Louisiana had also closed the opportunity for the school and the businesses to communicate. That has been fixed during this legislative session, and I imagine that would become legalized and into law here in the next couple of weeks. I believe the legislative session expires the first week of June, so we should be hearing some news about that here over the next couple of days and weeks. But
why pigeonhole yourself? Like, that's essentially
exactly
what they found out. Why make rules when you don't have to have any?
Don't put anything over our head. Let's just go out there and run. And when it's time to write the law, we'll write the law.
Right, it's in the back pocket. But don't you think that this is the way? Obviously, the murkiest thing about NIL is that it's being used as a recruiting advantage. That's the one rule that it feels like everybody was like, this isn't really the intent of name, image, and likeness, but here's a loophole that everybody can use to recruit. If that gets kiboshed, it feels like what Florida is doing by saying, hey, no matter what, we have $50,000 for whomever.
Right.
Like, that's the way around it, to say, look, we're going to pay you as soon as you get here. It doesn't have to be person specific. It's just like, hey, we have money for NIL.
The collective.
And the collective.
From Dellinger's article at SI.com, injury lawyer Gordon McKernan, an LSU graduate and Baton Rouge native, is a more modest directive. His modern 3-story law office hugs I-10, welcoming visitors to Louisiana's capital city with a reminder that an SEC program resides here. A golden flag emblazoned with purple LSU letters that connects McKernan's shop with his hometown team. In this NIL era, he is no longer only using his alma mater's banner to promote his business. He's using and paying players. He's using and paying the players. McKernan tells Sports Illustrated, "I got off the sideline to prevent our players from being poached. You have to put a wall around them." LSU's Keyshawn Butte,
Keyshawn's booty.
one of the nation's top receivers, nearly entered the transfer portal in December and was being courted by a pair of LSU's SEC rivals. McKernan says, "I was duck hunting and got a call. I jumped in and cut a deal with him to represent my company and his brand." That was all preventing Keyshawn from leaving to go to Texas A&M or Alabama. So not only is it being used to recruit players coming out of high school and coming out of the transfer portal, it's also being used to keep players right on the campus that they are already at. Look at Pittsburgh right now. The wide receiver, the Biletnikoff winner last season. What's his name, Stewie? Find it for me.
Jordan Addison.
He's about to leave and go to USC for an NIL deal.
What's he got? What's the
USC,
deal?
Alabama, and
Texas
Texas are like the
three.
teams that are
I mean,
reached
you
out.
know, this is a bidding war.
He is so good.
What's the
I
deal
think
that
it's
he's
upwards
taking?
of. I think right now is at like $3 million for him.
I
The
mean,
NIL deal?
For an
NIL
NIL
deal.
deal, $3 million.
and this is somebody that's on another player. It's like if you're Pat Narduzzi, I mean, if you're Pittsburgh's coach, you're like, bro, what do we have to do? You were the best player in the sport at the position last year. You won the Biletnikoff.
Well, Kenny Pickett's gone.
You won the highest award, and I guarantee you that's what those three schools are saying. I mean, your quarterback's gone, and we got $3 million for you out here in sunny Los Angeles, where it never snows like it does in Pittsburgh.
The quarterback doesn't have to wear gloves.
You know what I mean? Alabama's telling him that Jamison Williams is now gone to the league, and they got to replace that guy with somebody, and they're going to win a national championship because in mock drafts right now they got the top 2 picks. And then Texas is saying, "How much?
Spring game. Yeah.
How much?
I'm also here.
Anybody want some cheeseburgers?" You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
Drunk at the
whatever
party.
we got to do. Whatever we got to do. Team touch it. Whatever it is. We're in. I mean,
It's 2 a.m. I'm here. You're here. Let's go.
how much? We got the checkbook right here. I mean, it's happening in Dallas with SMU, as we told you, Eric Dickerson, who was really kind of the face of college football cheating for a long time. The Trans Am ended up at SMU, Texas A&M, everything that went into his recruiting. He's now overseeing the collective.
So awesome.
Wasn't there a photo of him
At
on
SMU.
the car?
Yeah, he just posted it
Yeah, that
again.
was
He
the
was like
that was- He just
anniversary.
posted it again?
Yeah, it was whenever we put the picture up on the show.
Yeah,
but he was
yeah.
like, the good old days, and it was him on the Trans Am just openly cheating. Like A&M might as well sign Johnny Manziel to do the same thing for the Aggies, so he can go ahead and help them, because it's the same thing. Like, you get the people that you think represents this part of the program the way that you want it to, because I'm sure Johnny has, you've seen the photos with him putting money up to his ear. I'm sure he'll love to take some recruits out. Like, this is where we're headed.
It is.
And Tyrann Mathieu's right down the road.
To give you an idea of some of the people that are overseeing collectives now on campuses.
Jared Leto.
Who called them these?
The collective in Georgia has a CEO, Matt Hibbs, who once worked in the Georgia compliance office.
Wow.
TCU's former compliance director, Brent Cunningham, heads up the NIL collective for TCU. Nebraska's former football chief of staff, Gerard Lambrecht, is now the collective's president in Lincoln. As we said, Eric Dickerson is now representing SMU's collective over in Dallas. Brett Venables and the University of Oklahoma is working with a group of business people over in that state around that program, where within the next 2 years, by the time they get to the SEC is the goal, Venables will be able to recruit every player and tell them that you will make $50,000 a year if you come to Oklahoma. It doesn't matter if you're the backup punter or you're the starting quarterback, at minimum, you are going to make $50K a year if you're one of the 85 scholarship members of the team. You think that helps in recruiting in the SEC?
That's unbelievable.
85 times 50.
I mean, unbelievable where we are.
But you saw whenever Billy Napier left for Florida, he said this was one of the first things he did. He set up his entire department just for not only name, image, and likeness, but for the transfer portal.
Is he heading up a collective?
I would imagine so.
Yes.
Florida will have a collective.
Florida is very progressive at this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, Hugh Hitchcock. What's his name? Hugh Hathcock.
Hugh Hascock.
Hugh Hefner.
But, I mean, South Florida billionaire. This is coming from SI article written by Ross Dellinger over at SI.com. South Florida billionaire John Ruiz knows he is at the center of the latest NIL splash and a person that everyone in the state loves to hate. 10 days ago, his latest move drew intense scrutiny. Using his own Twitter account, he announced that the University of Miami received a commitment from Kansas State transfer guard Nigel Pack, and that he, Ruiz, signed the hoop star to a 2-year deal for $400,000 a year.
Free agency.
And the call.
Pack will endorse Ruiz's 2 companies, Life Wallet, a healthcare application, and the Cigarette Boat Racing Team. That tweet drew more than 5 million impressions, something Ruiz pointed to as an early return on his investment. The post also had college sports figurative jaws dropping to the floor, with critics pointing to the move's boldness and dollar figures. It also took Miami's best player last year and leading scorer on the basketball team and put him into the portal because he said, I'm the leading scorer. We went to the Elite Eight. That cat's making $400,000 a year. You better pay me if you want me to stay.
They paid him. He's staying.
How much you get?
I don't know, but they matched it and he's staying.
Wow. So you've got 2 players on Miami's basketball team next year making at a minimum of $800,000 between them.
That's unbelievable.
LSU lost.
Miami's not even that good.
LSU lost their coach.
I mean,
Bro,
it is crazy.
How long is this going to last?
I don't know.
This
Who's going to oversee it? The people that you would think that would be going into the space of overseeing it are switching to the other side.
They're jumping.
They're
Bo
jumping.
Bonson's going to come back for LSU.
Absolutely. Next thing you know,
Nobody knows the book
Miriam
better.
Seeger and Bo Bonson are going to be distributing cash to
Be
athletes.
the most loved people in Baton Rouge.
I mean, they're going to be fundraisers. They're going to be paying people out of the collective. And look, I know that LSU has a collective. I don't know who's overseeing the collective. I don't know how much money is in the collective. I don't know if it's competitive as far as collectives go within the SEC. But all I know is that they better catch up if they're not already caught up.
I don't think they are caught up. That's the problem.
I mean, see, that's the thing that some specific universities have, like John Ruiz at Miami or Hugh Hitchcock at Florida. What's the guy's name?
Hathcock.
Hugh
Hathcock.
Hathcock.
It's about to be a
At
whole
Florida.
cock.
I mean, the countless people that Saban has access to at Alabama.
Countless.
Steve Sarkisian and the amount of boosters that have access to him in the University of Texas. There is an example here in this article about what's going on in Austin and how they are building up. We already know about
Quinn Ewers.
Absolutely, Quinn Ewers, but you already know about the charity that is funding the offensive line at Texas A&M, guaranteeing if you're on scholarship as an offensive lineman for the University of Texas football team, you'll be making $50K a year minimum, just at one specific position. Quinn Ewers, there's rumors that he's making $2.5 million. What are they going to pay Arch? What are they going to propose to Arch?
Don't even need it.
What are they even going to put in front of Arch's face that is going to move the meter? And how is Alabama and how is Georgia going to rebut the offer?
They're not. I don't think they can.
Huh? Why not?
I just feel like Texas money is
I mean,
bigger.
They can't get into a bidding war per se, but I mean, you can get into a one contract deal where, hey, they're offering me 4, here's 5. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is going to be
This is awesome.
nuts
I know, right?
to see the way that this sport is managed, recruited, how it is funded over the next 3 to 5 years. The difference in what college football is going to look like 3 years from today is going to be mesmerizing. I mean, a documentary starting today from 2 years from now of what college football's end of the year looks like and what it feels like, how it's managed, how it's funded, how it's recruited, how it's put together from a season-by-season roster standpoint is going to be absolutely nuts. And it's all going to be built around this. And all this stuff is nothing but, it's doing nothing but formalize. It's nothing but hardening up, shaping up. I mean, there's no way you're going to be able to unpack this.
It's too big to fail at this point.
Well, I mean, like the guy said, they're managing $50 million right now. He anticipates by the time the school year gets here, the football season gets here, that'll be 100 and double the schools.
Oh, and they have to go to school.
Do I?
No. He just paid me $4 million to stay.
Right.
Like, oh, I forgot I had History 101.
From SI.com, last month, Kentucky star basketball player and National Player of the Year Oscar Tshiebwe became the first player in a decade to stay in college instead of leaping to the NBA with that award as a title, the National Player of the Year. Days later, Michigan's Hunter Dickinson did the same. Tshiebwe is believed to be making as much as $2 million in NIL cash next year on the University of Kentucky's campus, and Dickinson has attributed his decision to stay in Ann Arbor as pointing to NIL, saying it definitely opened up the door for me to come back. Matt Quigley, who is the director of Florida State's Rising Spear, gives one example of a recent deal he struck with a group of FSU athletes. Quigley declined to give his or her name, but said their mother worked 3 jobs. Now she's down to 1. It's about time that they're allowed to profit off of their name, says Quigley. A very small amount of college players were being paid under the table. Now we are shining a light on it all, and people are saying, how dare we do this?
A very small amount of players getting paid under the table. Okay.
Okay.
Is Rising Spear?
No,
like
I believe
LSU?
in what he's saying there. I believe that there were a very selected few that were really making any money in the old style of NCAA playing payers, because the leverage was on the owner. It was on the money side, where here is $3,000. Shut up and go to school. Don't say I never paid you. Don't say I didn't do anything to you. Now, guys that were necessarily on the fringe, not making the money, not getting paid, they're now saying, hey, man, it's my Leonard Fournette got paid, right? Jamal Adams got paid.
Allegedly.
I mean, all these guys, these high-end players.
They all got paid.
Those guys got paid. They got real money, right? But
I don't think it's a small amount of players, like he said.
Oh, I think it's a small amount of players that are making real money. Real money. You know what I mean? Like, I guarantee you that forward that transferred from TCU to Miami, if you'd have told him in recruiting, hey, man, they're going to pay you $400,000 a year, he'd have said, get the fuck out of here. Like, are you out of your mind?
Can't fit that in McDonald's bag.
Yeah, right. What do you mean? And now, even players of that caliber have the negotiating power to go back and forth with these people who want to get into the game. And that's the problem that schools are having, is that you're just relying on prideful alum who have made it and have ancillary cash to spend. I'm telling you, if Gordon does not exist 6 months ago, or Gordon doesn't give a damn about LSU football and just wants to spend his time and his ancillary cash on duck camps and traveling, and not LSU football, then LSU football is sitting without Kayshon Boutte and without about 6 transfers in from the portal, including Miles Frazier, who was super impressive, that sat here last Friday. Greg Brooks sat here yesterday wearing the G logo.
Is Gordon our Batman?
It seems to be. Absolutely. Yeah.
He should be our
if somebody
Batman.
could find his goddamn Santa, then everything would be put back in place. But, yeah, without G, you're looking at Kayshon and a different shade of red.
Right.
Either way, it's either A&M or Alabama, and LSU is not happy. Like, there's going to be some have and have-nots from this conversation. Like, Clemson doesn't seem like they're all in on NIL. That's going to come it's going to come to roost at some point with Dabo's attitude. It could get him fired.
Yeah.
Because he's so out on paying players that you're going to fall behind. LSU has at least dipped its toe in the water to be a part of this game. Otherwise, you ain't going to win.
I know.
And at least it's nice to be a part of the conversation. A&M is all the way in. They've been in
You
this.
think?
It seemed like they've been planning for this and
They
didn't
have.
care to break the rules or what have you, what NIL was supposed to be. But at least LSU was in the same arena.
I guess. But
Otherwise,
A&M
you're
did
toast
whatever it
because
took.
yeah, all LSU has is the talent pool. They're going to poach Louisiana every chance they get.
Yeah.
Will Joseph, are you really saying players weren't getting paid big cash? No, I'm saying that they were. I'm just saying it was a very selective group. I was just saying it was the Fournettes, the Cam Robinsons, the Jamal Adams, the Patrick Petersons, the 5-star bona fide recruits that were out there that you had to pay. They were getting paid. But I mean, you weren't paying the role players. I mean, you may have been giving them some type of benefit. You might have had some guy hooking them up with some flash cash in town. But I mean, they weren't on the payroll. I mean, they weren't making, $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month from some business in town that you don't have to, be creative and cover up. It's a totally different world, man. It's wild. It's nuts. It really is. It's crazy. And we're going to try and find out, we'll try and find out over the next couple of days how tightened up and how organized LSU's collective is. We'll try and find our way. And if we can find it, we'll bring it to you. Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by our friends over at City Cafe, citycafebr.net. Get in touch with Squeaky Miranda and the crew over there. Got daily lunch specials, citycafebr.net. We will talk to Mike Triplett, who covers the New Orleans Saints for ESPN.com next. We'll ask him the effect Tyrann Mathieu can make on this specific roster. And now, what is the identity of the Saints? Payton out, Dennis Allen in, couple of moves, and will they go after Jarvis? Will they sign Jarvis Landry? Remember, Go Chevrolet drives us every day. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show right after this. All right, personal testimony from my trip over to Johnson Spillers. Shout out to my friend Dr. Chad Spillers for taking care of me, man. I had to have my front tooth, a tooth implanted on my front tooth, and it was a hell of an ordeal, but Dr. Spillers and the crew from Johnson Spillers made it as easy and seamless as possible.
Triplett,
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
The final product, and it is absolutely beautiful. Learn more online at johnsonspillers.com. Whether you're looking for Botox or you need help in any type of dentistry, whether it is dentures, night guards, if you're looking for Invisalign, if you're interested in implant dentistry like I got, you can get in touch with Johnson Spillers. Online, johnsonspillers.com. 2 locations, one in Gonzales, one in Baton Rouge. Easiest way to get them, online at johnsonspillers.com.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you daily by Morales Roll-Offs. Morales Roll-Offs provides dumpster rentals for residential and commercial needs in Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. Morales has roll-off dumpsters ranging from 10 yards to 40 yards to accommodate all of your disposal needs. Search online, moralesrolloffs.com. The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet each and every day. Make sure you hit that like button, share button, comment button. Saints at the center of the news wire for the NFL over the last couple of hours as Tyrann Mathieu has inked a deal, or not yet inked, but agreed to terms with the New Orleans Saints. 3-year, $33 million, 18 of that guaranteed for the All-Pro safety, as ESPN had that first over at ESPN covering the New Orleans Saints is our friend Mike Triplett. You can read his work on Twitter, or you can read his work online at ESPN.com, and you can keep up with all the work on social media at Mike Triplett. Hopefully some better luck this time with our video call. I think we're good. Mikey, how are we feeling this morning? Good morning, buddy. How are you?
Testing.
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Good to see you. We talked to Mathieu about a month ago in our studio, and we asked him about the possibility of joining the New Orleans Saints, and it didn't seem like it was a closed case by any means, but maybe not the favorite. How did this happen? When did this happen? Give me a timeline here how Mathieu ended up back home.
Well, at least from his social media and from people I talked to that were in touch with him, it seemed like he was always interested in coming to play for the Saints. But obviously, also, this was a fairly big deal for May. The terms of the deal were fairly big for a guy who signs after the draft in May, and he deserved a contract like this. I actually, not taking credit for this or anything. I think a lot of us thought this was a good fit. We had a thing way back in March where we had to make pretend offers to free agents, and I made one to Tyrann Mathieu, and I think it was closer to $14 million a year if I remember right, and it wasn't enough. The Chiefs writer outbid me, and I didn't land him in that exercise we did at ESPN. So I think he was expected to be a coveted free agent. I think it was disappointing for him that he lasted as long as he did. But the Saints obviously were showing an incredible amount of restraint in their spending this offseason, which is so rare for this team. Now, they did obviously go after Deshaun Watson, but other than that, they were letting key players go like Teron Armstead and Marcus Williams, and they were not spending big money. So they met with him. I heard you mention Jarvis Landry and the Tees. They met with him, and it was kind of but we'll see if we can get someone cheaper in the draft. We might go that direction. If somebody's going to outbid us, we're probably going to lose to that other team. But if you're still there in May and we still have the need, let's see where this goes. And obviously that's how it happened in this case.
I want to get to Juice and I want to get to the draft, but let's stay with Tyrann for a minute. The number, 3-year, $33 million. Mike, the number that jumps out to me is the 18 guarantee. This looks like more than a 1-year deal. What's the expectation for Mathieu?
That makes it at least a 2-year commitment. And if he's playing well, he'll be a bargain in year 3 at that average. But you're exactly right. I kind of thought that is what this was going to become, was a 1-year arrangement with either one of these guys. If it did come down and maybe they head back into free agency next year, maybe they see a different market. But this is a commitment to, I'm not going to say he turns 30 next week. I'm not going to say he's going to finish his career with the Saints. He could play a lot more years, but this was more than hey, I'll drop by home for a year and then go back out to the market next year. This is a real marriage.
What do they get in Mathieu in the locker room and on the field?
I mean, you said it. You to mention those two things hand in hand. I mean, you can already see on social media the reaction of the Saints teammates that they're so excited for this guy to come here. And those aren't just guys who are from New Orleans or even know him from his time at LSU or from being from the city. They know him from watching him in the league, and they respect the hell out of his game and what a teammate, what a playmaker he's going to be. I don't know if you can make a strong argument back either way, whether there's an upgrade from Marcus Williams to Tyrann Mathieu. I think in everybody's free agent rankings, they were pretty close to each other. The price everyone thought they were going to make was pretty close to each other. Marcus Williams is obviously a younger player who could still be on the rise, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if he makes 3 Pro Bowls in the future, like Tyrann Mathieu's already made. But there's a different style, and I think what Mathieu brings that Williams didn't necessarily is he's not going to play that deep free safety. He's going to come attack a little more, and he's going to make some more aggressive playmaking plays. He'll play closer to the line of scrimmage at times, and he definitely has the versatility, and so does Marcus May, who they also signed, where we haven't seen this a lot over the years in New Orleans, but I think they're going to be very interchangeable. I was talking to Matt, our analyst, who's a safety in the NFL. He said they're going to line up. When the quarterback lines up, you're not going to know which one's playing free and which one's playing strong. And they will roll their coverages and they will disguise things because of the versatility both those guys have.
Yeah. And I mean, like even a guy they picked up in free agency like Smoke Monday has a very similar game where he can – I'm not saying that he's going to be on the field in defense, but I mean – just that position feels very secure now in Dennis Allen's defense.
Yeah.
The identity has changed almost before our eyes, right, Mike? Of who the franchise
Well, it's really
is.
funny. Yeah, I mean, if you were looking at did the Saints get better or worse this offseason, safety was probably your biggest concern, safety and left tackle, because they lost Tyrann Armstead and head coach, obviously.
Yeah,
that remains to be seen. But on the field, safety is different now. And I'm not going to shortchange Marcus Williams or Malcolm Jenkins. Those could be significant losses, but you feel just as good about the safety position. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson, obviously, in the nickel, one of the best slot coverage safeties we have in the NFL. They stayed strong at corner by keeping Bradley Roby along with Paulson Adebo, and then they drafted Alontae Taylor in the second round, and I think the biggest knock on him is we don't see how he's going to get on the field unless there's injuries as a rookie. So the depth is absolutely there.
Well, you mentioned a little bit of like the changing of the guard, losing Sean Payton, and now adding Dennis Allen as the head coach. Does it not feel like this is him kind of putting his stamp on what he wants to look like and kind of putting a line in the sand of, hey, this is my team now. The Sean Payton era seems a little bit over. I want you to know that this is Dennis Allen's team, and we're transitioning to defense a little bit.
Not necessarily, because I think they might have kept Marcus Williams if money was no object, and then it would have been just running it back. But it is possible that Dennis Allen likes the idea of the style of play of Tyrann Mathieu more than Marcus Williams. But I think Dennis Allen had a lot of say on what that defense was going to look like anyway in the past. He's obviously head coach for a reason. There's been a defense first team for a couple years now.
Mike, what did you think about the draft? Obviously, they grab Olave up top, and they're able to get Penning in the left tackle spot, two areas of high concern. But overall, now that all the picks are in, what'd you make of it?
Well, you love the players. That's a home run. The only concern is, how much they had to pay for them. Chris Olave was definitely the right pick at number 11, or definitely seems like the right pick at number 11. And when you hear the way the Saints talked about it, we saw 6 receivers go off the board in a 10-pick span, I think, or in an 11-pick span from 8 to 18. So if it's a fantasy draft or something, you think, I'll just wait at 16 and I'll get the end of that run. But the Saints were like, no, we weren't going to wait. We had one guy that we liked above all the others. We had a vision for him. We think he fits us the best. We think he's the most polished. We think he's the most ready to help us right away. So that's the receiver they wanted. And if you followed me at all, I was screaming from the rooftops how much they needed to get a receiver. So if they got the one they wanted, that's where they had to get him at 11. They could not wait at 16. He wouldn't have been there. And then Trevor Penning kind of feels like almost a little bit of a bargain at 19. You'd seen him higher in some mock drafts. You didn't see him lower in many. And those filled the other two biggest needs besides safety. And then obviously they're like, all right, we're going to go into free agency for that need. So I'd say a week ago we would have listed the top 3 remaining needs, and the Saints have now filled all 3 of them. So you like that. But time will tell if Chris Olave was worth what they paid. I did the math. It actually ended up being 5 total draft picks they used to draft Chris Olave.
Wow.
Because they gave up next year's first to get that 16th pick in the first place. They didn't originally have 2 first-round picks. So next year's first plus all that extra that they paid to keep moving up. The 2023 second, the thirds in this year's draft, and I think it was also a 4th in this year's draft. I can't even remember them all. So he better be worth it. But if anyone's going to be, it's going to be a dynamic receiver because this team really needed one.
I saw Dan Orlovsky put out his rankings of NFC teams up to this point after the draft and after a couple of free agent moves, and has the Saints in the top 3. He's got them 3rd behind Tampa and L.A. What do you think of that assessment, and where is your head on the roster going into OTAs?
Yeah, and he had them ranked there before they signed Mathieu. So so that even just made him feel stronger about that pick. Now, I mentioned that when I did my write-up yesterday on after Tyrann signed, and I said he's a little more bullish than other teams, or other analysts. I haven't seen anyone else rank them that high, but I don't think it's outlandish at all. I mean, I think it'll be a big disappointment if the Saints don't make the playoffs this year. Last year they finished 9-8. Should have made the playoffs if the Rams hold off the 49ers in the final week of the season, and everything went wrong last year. I mean, they didn't have Michael Thomas for a single game. They didn't have Will Lutz for a single game. That actually probably cost them 1 or 2 wins. Jameis Winston went out. He missed 10 games with his injury. The offensive line was decimated last year. They set the NFL record using 58 different starters. So I think this team was a lot more like an 11-win team last year and should expect to be an 11-win team this year. We'll see how much of a difference not having Sean Payton makes. I don't know if you take 1-2 wins away from that, but the NFC didn't get any better. If anything, some NFC contenders got a little weaker. So we know they'll go toe-to-toe with Tampa Bay the way they've matched up against them in recent years. And I think it'll be a big disappointment for this team if they don't make the playoffs.
Gardner Johnson and Mathieu matching up against Brady twice a year is, worth the ticket.
Yeah.
It's great.
And Marshawn Lattimore against
For
Mike
sure.
Evans.
Lattimore's kind of the forgotten guy, man. I mean, you forget about him when you're talking about all these guys and safeties that they have back there. Do you have any idea if Mathieu can get number 7, if there's any negotiation between Taysom, how this might shake out?
Frankly, I don't even know if he'll ask for it. I know the fans would love it down here, but he hasn't worn that number for a while. Yeah. 32 is pretty readily available, which he's been wearing. So somebody pointed out 14, his original number.
13 at St. Aug.
Mark Ingram hated 14. So please tell me you want 14. I'll give it to you I'll pay you to take it off my hands.
And 13 is actually Mike Thomas, and I've asked you about I feel like I've asked you about Thomas a couple of times since you've been here in the off season. And look, just judging by his social media, and I believe that's all we have, he feels very engaged. He feels like he's back. Do you get a sense of that? Have you learned anything about Thomas?
No, I do. And look, even the Saints wanted to be 100% sure on that. Dennis Allen went and flew out to LA to visit with him and just make sure everything's cool and introduce himself, because on two different sides of the ball they probably hadn't spent that much time together. But really, even dating back to last season when he was supposed to come back from the ankle injury before he suffered the setback, everything kind of seemed like it was going in the right direction. There was no trade demands before last year's trade deadline. Although he was legitimately upset and beefing with the team a little bit last summer, this wasn't and how many players have we seen demanding their way out of it, out of cities since then? He has never been one who was demanding his way out, threatening to hold out, threatening not to show up. And the one thing I've always said about Michael Thomas, and then I even heard Mickey Limas say almost the exact same words, is you never worry about his motivation. He's one of the most intensely motivated guys I've ever been around. So if one day maybe he wants to play for another team, maybe that's possible. But no matter what team he's playing for, he's going all in for that team. He wants to come back, I'm sure, with a vengeance and remind everybody why he was the NFL's Offensive Player of the Year the last time he was healthy.
A similar mentality at the same position as Jarvis Landry, and he has been in the news with the New Orleans Saints. How viable is this?
I kind of feel like if the Saints had drafted a safety in round 1, maybe they would have signed Jarvis Landry on Monday, but they drafted a receiver in round 1 and then signed Tyrann. So it's still possible. It's possible that they were hoping his price would go down and maybe he's the one who signs the 1 year below market value deal and then goes back into free agency next year. But obviously after how much it just cost them to add Chris Olave with draft capital, the need doesn't feel quite as great to necessarily have to pay big bucks for Jarvis Landry, but there's still room for him. He could line up in the slot. They could make room for him. So if he doesn't land elsewhere, there could still be a fit there. I'm just, I would drop down the odds quite a bit or drop them up, I guess.
Sure. And one more, former Tiger, Quan Alexander. Make any sense to bring him back?
Yeah. Well, it sure does make sense to bring him back. He's been so good in this defense for the last couple years. They didn't really replace him. They did draft a interior linebacker in the middle rounds, but not a significant guy who you think is going to be on the field a lot. So I think Pete Werner could step up. I think they'll be okay if they don't bring back Quan Alexander. But again, unfortunately for him, if his price is affordable, they've proven that there's a role for him that fits both sides really well. So I think that's entirely possible.
And before we get you out of here, any update on Alvin Kamara and what you might think could happen with him going forward, whether it be suspension or what? What's his outlook for the rest of the year, or the beginning of the year, I should say?
Well, his next court date is until August, and that's not like a final court date either. So this could drag on, and then even after it drags on, the NFL takes some time, and then there could be an appeals process. I mean, there is a path to this not even being resolved during this season. There's obviously a path to charges being dismissed or lowered, or however the legal process could work out, where the punishment wouldn't be as severe. So I think it's probably prepare for the worst, but consider anything as a possibility. I mean, I think there are a lot of paths where he's not missing a substantial lot of time this year, but obviously the accusations against him were very serious, and the details in the police report. So if it does end up being a significant suspension, that wouldn't be a surprise either.
Do you expect to see that the NFL might act without anything coming out from the legal side? They've done that before, where Roger Goodell makes himself judge, jury, executioner. Is there a path where he kind of gets involved?
But they usually wait.
Right.
I mean, he could end up not being found guilty of anything, and then the league could still punish him anyway. But the legal process will end first, almost always in these cases.
Mike Triplett, read his work at ESPN.com if you follow the New Orleans Saints. If not, read him on Twitter at Mike Triplett, where you can keep up with all the information that's coming out. As always, good to see you, man. Thanks for the info this morning. We'll talk again. Again soon. You got it. There
Awesome.
he is. Mike Triplett checking in from New Orleans this morning. A lot of news with the Saints going on right now, including Tyrann Mathieu. And it's good to hear that Triplett feels the same way. It's going to be a 2-year deal with Mathieu with the $18 million guaranteed. So, you see the 3-year, $30 million, but a lot of times in contract language, that's kind of, you got $9 million of it guaranteed. The rest of it's kind of an option. With $18 million guaranteed there, as Mike kind of alluded to, that's sets up for a 2-year at least deal with New Orleans and Tyrann Mathieu. It's crazy.
It is crazy. I still can't believe it.
Brought to you daily by Johnson Spillers. Remember, our friends over at Johnson Spillers has just got the tooth done, and a lot of compliments.
You have had a lot of compliments. On teeth, not tooth.
On the teeth.
All
on
the
teeth, yes.
When are you going in for the bottom?
Well, I had the bottom filed, and I'm a happy customer right now.
You're addicted to teeth work.
Not really. I don't want to look like a game. I don't look like a game show host.
You'd see you at the Met Gala next year.
You're definitely going to get recognized for those teeth.
Right. It's different from the side angle. Johnson Spillers online, johnsonspillers.com. 2 locations, Gonzales and in Baton Rouge. Check them out. You can find them online, johnsonspillers.com. I had a tooth implant, but if you just need general dentistry, tooth cleaning, pediatric dentistry, anything you may need, go see our friends. Botox. Go see our friends over at Johnson Spillers. johnsonspillers.com. Whoa. johnsonspillers.com. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show. We'll close it out here. Powered by Go Chevrolet.
That's always happened. It's all of the adapters we have. One day we'll get it fixed,
What happened?
Clean
I didn't
everything
notice.
up. Oh, no, just the camera froze.
Oh.
But look, it's back now.
Hey.
It's on a little delay. We'll figure it out. I'm just glad video call worked.
Me too.
No, another one.
It looked great.
Off the list.
It looked great.
Triplet was the white whale I couldn't get.
Makes it easier for me. Shout out to Lloyd.
Shout out to Tom Granning from everybody over here at FM Digital Media, as he is our fuel sponsor. Whether it's fuel cards or snacks, he's keeping us going every day at FM Digital Media. If you're out on Highway 61, make sure and stop in and see him over at Go Mart. That is located in Natchez, Mississippi. It is our favorite convenience store, and it's for our guy Tom Granning, who supports us every day over here at FM Digital Media. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
True Blue Water, true hydration at its finest. Right now, you're only a few minutes away from getting your 5-gallon water delivered to you, just like we are over here at the UDL. All you got to do is log on to truebluewater.com. That's T-R-U, bluewater.com. The website's fantastic over at truebluewater.com. You can get your service and find out how quick it is. You can schedule a delivery, even hop on the billing system right there at truebluewater.com. T-R-U, bluewater.com.
Do you have questions about your finances? Are you looking for recommendations from a skilled financial advisor? Get in touch with our friend Daniel Newman over at Edward Jones. You can find him easily by logging online and shooting him an email at daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. That is daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. Whether it is help with your 401k or just fiscal advice heading into the new season, get in touch with Daniel today. Best way to do it? Email him, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. He's our experienced financial advisor. Let him be yours, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. All right, closing it out here on this Tuesday. We appreciate you. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button as we close out this day here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Always driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Remember, we told you on Friday night, white night.
Cool night.
Hot
Similar
art,
to
cool
white.
nights.
Linen night.
White light night.
White.
There you go.
Hot Art Cool
Hot
Nights
Nights.
coming up this Friday. We're showing off the studio. If you want to stop by, we'll be here.
Was
I believe
Mark
it
putting
starts.
some of his art in here?
He's
for
gonna put
sale?
some. Yeah, he's gonna put some art in here. I believe it's 6:30 to 10.
It is 6 to 10.
6 to 10. 6 to 10.
Are we wearing anything? Is it like
We're
no, we're
coming
going
naked.
nude.
All right,
We will have
perfect.
no clothes
Yeah,
on,
perfect.
so
Perfect.
come buy merch from us.
That should get it. That should bring the people out.
Come naked, we'll clothe you. But you have to buy the
Exactly.
shirt.
You have to
Yes.
buy clothes to get in.
You'll be dead soxy.
Fit in at the Met Gala.
We'll just wear socks. We'll just wear dead socksy
That's
socks.
what we
I'm
should
sure
do.
they would love that as a promotion.
Yeah, look like an elephant's trunk.
Socks and watch. If you have not already subscribed to the show, make sure to hit that subscription.
Oh, please do it now.
Yeah, if we still have a show, we might have just gotten canceled.
What else? What else would you want to see?
Exactly. And before we do Hot Art Cool Nights, Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
Sign up for Modesto. We're doing some cornhole teams. We need 12 two-team teams, 2-man teams, 2 woman teams, whichever you prefer. Play with your girlfriend, play with your boyfriend. Either way, we just need some people to sign up. We're going to have some specialty deals over at Modesto. So come sign up. I believe it starts at 3, and the fun
Oh,
begins
dang.
from 5 to 10 also on
Sweet.
Thursday. So it should be
Cinco
a good
de
time.
Mayo. What a sneaky good
What
holiday.
a sneak. I
It
mean,
is,
yeah.
isn't it?
We really,
Great
America
holiday.
really took that one over.
Yeah.
Oh, you
I
tell them
know.
we can booze up all day?
Right.
I know.
This is one day Mardi Gras.
Yeah. St. Patrick's Day, we'll take that one too.
I feel like it's always a weekday too. I feel like it's never on a
Yeah,
weekend.
I do too.
Right?
NBA playoffs, which is awesome.
I know.
I mean, especially back in the day.
What does that mean?
What
Back
day?
in the
We just
day.
didn't have responsibilities. You know what I mean?
Children.
Kids, jobs, mortgages, shit like that.
No.
Um,
Why did you say it so mean at me?
no, I didn't mean it like that.
Kids, jobs, mortgages.
I was just more mad at the situation that I'm in, not
Lloyd,
being able to
Lloyd,
see
have
And
a
we have
kid.
kids, jobs, and
Yeah,
work.
Get a house.
Yeah.
Yeah, grow up,
The
dude.
fact that I
Instead
have
of just
all 3 of them,
margaritas.
just kind of makes me a square on Cinco de Mayo
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, that's fun.
Look, Jay, your dad used to hang out there.
Yeah.
Thanks for ruining my Cinco de Mayo, Jordan.
This is the reason you exist. A couple 2 tequila, 3 tequila, you.
That's right. NBA playoffs last night. NBA playoffs tonight. Man, why are we not talking about the Heat?
I don't know.
Are the
Because we
Heat
got
gonna,
sad
are
after
the
the
Heat going to
Pelicans
lose a
were out.
game?
I think they might win. It's going to be Golden State and the Heat, right? Doesn't it feel like
Or
they're on a
Milwaukee,
collision
I
course?
guess.
And Milwaukee's
I
good
mean,
too.
I
But
guess
the Heat last
Milwaukee
night.
series is going to be
I
the
feel
one.
like Milwaukee is it.
Yeah, I think Milwaukee is like in the position to
Yeah.
go back.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
'Cause
to
the Heat-
see
the
what-
Heat
to
give
see
them a
what
good-
Giannis did to Tatum in the block. the
and
other
like
night,
they're
that
doing
was-
that without.
Abused him. I didn't know that he could get shoved around. Jason Tatum's big.
I don't know if Jason Tatum thought he could get shot.
He got put in the blender.
He did. And I mean, it wasn't like he just legged him.
He
You know what I
bodied
mean?
him.
Like he wasn't like he moved him off of him. I mean, and Tatum,
fell. Like he was on the ground.
A week ago, I had Tatum like in the Brandon Ingram stratosphere as like the next coming of the superstars.
And
now I don't know if he wants to get out of bed to come to game 2.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll see him play again.
What's tonight?
Milwaukee, Boston,
Okay.
game 2. Milwaukee's up
get
there
some
as they,
spreads.
obliterated
Over last night.
the
Over.
Celtics.
They did, and I kind of was
in game
excited about
1.
that, but only because of winning time. Like it's making me not like the Celtics.
Ah, nice. Wow.
Isn't that weird?
Golly,
'Cause
you're all in.
Because I'm so into that show,
Yeah.
and it's making me dislike
Did
them.
you watch the last
I
episode?
haven't watched Sundays.
Okay.
Ooh.
Like I'm not caught up on. Was that yesterday? 2 days ago.
It's getting
Have
real.
y'all
Yeah.
watched Sundays?
It's getting
I haven't
real.
watched
Recently?
Sundays yet. I've been reading the book.
I
Okay.
have. The book's
And
great.
dude, the first the
Jerry
the
West,
prologue
dude.
is so sad.
Is he out of his mind?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like Jerry. Like
Read the
somebody,
room.
Jerry, like, dude, in your own autobiography. I mean, in another book that he's written about, he is quoted in telling the biographer, the author of the book. He's like, I mean, I went through a period where, I mean, I just lost my cool about everything. You know, like, I mean, I was a raging lunatic and battling like mental depression. I was battling mental illness. And
That's
I
what
mean,
losing
like,
can do to you.
He was like
you?
talking.
Are you talking
No,
about
I'm
you?
talking about Jerry.
Oh,
West.
I was like,
God.
wait a minute.
Talking about
Katie,
Jerry.
calm down.
Happening right. I
about
felt
Jerry
really nervous.
West.
Like, are we doing this right now?
Having an intervention.
This is
live.
This is Jerry
this
West
therapy?
speaking of himself like
Jordy
30,
West.
30 years ago, and now claiming to take this to the Supreme
Court.
Court.
So
Like
dumb.
Jerry, first off, you don't understand how the judicial system works in our country. Obviously, you know what I mean. Like,
Oh, do you know who I am?
they are not fighting slander on your behalf, buddy. You know what I mean? Like,
you're gonna lose.
This is gonna get taken down like in the district court. You know what I mean? Like when they show the qualifier before the showing of every single episode that this is a dramatic account of the times. I mean, like this, Jerry, leave. Like, hush, stop.
But now it seems like it's not so dramatic because Jerry West is bearing the fruit that this is actually who you are. You're an insane person.
He is.
And he's acting like none of this is true, and he keeps getting more and more upset about it. It's
Why
like,
can't he just
you're just
embrace
perfect.
it?
Taking it to the Supreme Court. Like
That sounds very much like Jerry West in the show.
It does. Did you drop? How many f-bombs did you drop in there?
Motherfucker.
I knew it in Boston.
It's hilarious. Just embrace it.
It is.
Right? I mean, he should just embrace it.
It is.
Is he
Who he
still
is.
working for the Warriors? I mean, he's been a
No,
very
I mean,
good
I
executive.
think he was with the Clippers.
Oh, he's with the Clippers, yes.
The last
But
time
he helped build the Warriors
He
to
did.
what they are.
He was a consultant on those teams.
So he needs to like kind of run with that. He's been great as an executive, not so good as a head coach.
Yeah.
But he's been great in the executive role, but now he just seems upset
He
again.
was key on either the Klay Thompson or the Steph draft. It was probably Klay Thompson because Michael Thompson, Klay's dad, played for the Lakers, and Jerry was instrumental in drafting him and finding him. So it was probably Klay who Jerry had a big, kind of like he was a big part of Klay ending up in Golden State.
His dribble's too high.
Huh?
Dribble's too high. He smiles too much.
Jerry, dude. I mean, Jerry. Smile, dude. Enjoy life. You're the fucking logo, dude.
No,
And he doesn't want to be that.
I
Get
know.
over
I mean,
yourself.
good
The scene with
God.
him and Magic in the locker room after they lost to the Clippers, was it? I think it was might have been the episode before the last one.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're talking about how much Magic wants to win, and you could tell how serious Magic was. Like,
Yeah.
like people didn't take him seriously
Yeah.
because he was always smiling, but like
Yeah.
you could tell how bad
Yeah.
he wanted to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was so smiley.
NBA playoffs tonight, though.
Who you got? Milwaukee,
I like,
Boston.
I like
Spread's 5.
Memphis in a bounce back here, but
Spread's 2.
to who?
Memphis catching 2 at home in the grindhouse.
Okay, I mean you got to
Tony Allen ain't walking through that door.
You got to remember Draymond Green was out a half of that game, and they only won by 1, Golden State. So I mean, if you can get Draymond
Emergency
for 4
pod.
quarters, if you can get Draymond for 4 quarters there, you know it's a different outcome. But I do believe that I mean Memphis. There's probably a lot of shock value in playing Golden State in the playoffs, man. I mean, like looking at them and knowing that everybody's on like they were the other night. Whether
got
it was
better with
Klay,
Jordan
Steph,
Poole.
Jordan Poole, it's unbelievable. I mean, if Steph and Klay are going to play second fiddle here, how do you bet against them?
Right, and I was kind of talking with Noah the other day. It's like it's kind of fun to root for the Warriors again because
Yeah.
I was, whenever they first started, I was a big follower of them when it was Mark Jackson. I was like, this should make sense. They couldn't really ever figure it out. Insert Steve Kerr, they go on this massive run, but then you can't like them because they add Kevin Durant. It's them and LeBron, and you kind of want to root for LeBron the whole time. The Cleveland story was cool. But now with I have no dog in the fight, just watching the Warriors play basketball
I
is
know.
so much fun.
It is.
They're 2015, 2016
They're
again.
unbelievable.
Great book. You want a great book?
What book?
The Victory Machine, following the Golden State Warriors. It was written by
Jerry West.
It was written by let me make sure. Ethan Strauss. He was the guy that covered Golden State, and was constantly kind of getting under the skin of KD and that era of Golden State Warriors, and it is a great dive into just the recruitment of KD, the Warriors at that time, kind of like when they went through that hated time of being Golden State. Is a great read if you're looking for a great book on Golden State during that time. But I do pull for the Warriors. I mean, I'm a Steph fan.
Yeah.
It's hard not to be. I mean, I fell in love with him when he was at Davidson, just going through this. Like, look at this babyface killer that was going into Duke and dropping 30, basically put Davidson on his back. Yeah. And he was the story of the tournament, and he's had an unbelievable career for Golden State. And, like, being able to overcoming the ankle injuries where you can never kind of get right, and then you see whenever he can what he can do for the Golden State Warriors. And they're tough.
I know.
Tough out.
Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that comment button. Have a great Tuesday. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Make sure and tell a friend if you have not subscribed. Hit that subscription button. Daily, we're driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. For the Carpool Queen, for Lloyd, for Stewie, for everybody over here at FM Digital Media. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Don't forget Cinco de Mayo. Mikey Matuk and Mic'd Up over at Modesto on Thursday. And then on Friday night, we will be here for
Hot Art Cool
Nights.
HotArtCoolNights.com to check out the route, and we are a sponsor of HotArtCoolNights.com.
Red Dress Run.
Beautiful.
No, White Linen Night.
Yeah.
No, Hot Art Cool Nights.
Good night.
Good
See ya.
night. Good night.